Hey, so I watched a talk by Gabor Mate today, and it really he talked about being triggered, even in his just a few years ago or something, by a student having a certain opinion of his class, or the student sort of getting triggered, and then he got triggered because it felt like punching a hole in his protective mechanism, which is his identity as a wise healer and somebody who's useful to the world and all that kind of stuff. So he admitted to the audience that he didn't realize he was angry until he left the classroom and got into his car. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm angry." And then he sort of traced his anger back to what actually caused it. Of course, it wasn't the student. Students are allowed to have opinions. Students are allowed to be triggered. It was his own internal stuff that he was still dealing with at this age. Um, but the nice thing is he recognized it quickly and allowed it to become something that was just an event that passed through, not something that caused him to act out, not something that caused him to stay in a funk for a long time or whatever. But yeah, it was heartening to see that even this world class healer guy is like, yeah, no, my stuff still comes up, but uh, now I recognize it much more quickly, and it becomes like a minor event slash non-event, and then it's a teaching, uh, something you can use to teach, actually, a benefit in a way, a demonstration that he can use to humble himself and reveal himself in a way that can hearten people like me and his students and then whatever. So yeah, it sort of made me think of the ways that things have changed for me in the past 3 years. I did kind of a year and a half of shadow work, and then I learned about non-dual, and it's been about a year and a half of non-dual, inquiry and practice. And it can feel sometimes like you're just in this endless slog and you haven't got anywhere. Um, but there has been progress, and um, I mean, I feel like my nervous system has been in fight or flight since I was a toddler, basically. So that has kind of informed my life. And there have been times when I've been able to skate over it. I've been able to kind of avoid it. I've been able to kind of suppress it, uh, and be productive in my life and go on adventures and make friends and whatever. But then 3 years ago, when everything kind of settled down, and I had a house and two kids and a stable marriage, and that's when my system sort of like started like, all right, it's safe now. Here's all your crap. Uh, and it just felt like things were getting much worse. And what I told my husband at the time, because I didn't really know what was going on, but I was like, what it feels like is that there's a layer of toxic sludge at the bottom of a pond, right? And it's always been there. And now suddenly something's stirring it up. So that hopefully it can get cleaned out, right? But for a while, it's going to look a lot worse. So bear with me through this. And he, God bless him, he did. Um, but he and the kids have been noticing differences, and I've been noticing differences. So I just wanted to kind of celebrate that, and just as kind of a benchmark and an example, and also a way to humble and reveal myself in a way that may hearten people. Who knows? Um, First that comes to mind is 3 days ago was Mother's Day, and Ahmed came in and said, "Hey, let's go to brunch." And I was like, it's the brunchiest day of the year. It's going to be really crowded and there's going to be like long wait lists and it's no big deal. I don't need to do that. And he's like, well, this one has a wait list that we can get on and, hopefully we won't have to wait too long. And I don't remember what was said exactly, but I understood we had decided not to go. And apparently he understood we had decided to go because he came back a little while later. And, meanwhile, I had the El Clasico, Real Madrid versus Barcelona, that I was watching visually while I was listening to non-dual stuff on my earbuds. And I was just like happy as a clam in my little zone. Like, and then all of a sudden he comes in, he's like, hey, we've been on the wait list for a while. So, hopefully the wait won't be too long. Let's go to brunch. And I was like, oh, didn't we land on not going to brunch? And he's like, oh, well, uh, do you want to go? And I was like, well, I'm hungry. And, it sounds like the wait won't be too bad. So, okay, yeah, okay, fine, let's go. So we get in the car with two kids and we go, and it's very crowded. Don't like crowds. And I go to the front desk, which I have to fight through people to get there. And the guy's like, oh, okay, the app says for you guys, the wait will probably from now be between 20 and 40 minutes. And I was like, probably. And he's like, well, the app, does its thing. People come in and out. Like you don't really know. And yeah, exactly what I wanted to avoid. So, but we'd already probably missed part of the game. If we leave now, it's a total loss. I'm still hungry. Maybe it'll be on the on the lower end. Maybe it'll be fine. So anyway, we sit on a bench outside with the two kids. They're bored. They're climbing all over us. I'm triggered in half a dozen different ways. Um, one of which is the feeling of not being heard. Uh, one of which is the feeling of going against my better judgment and finding out my judgment was correct after all. Um, one was, I mean, I have some triggers around sort of Hallmark holidays in general, uh, that I won't go into. Um, and it's like being on somebody else's hook without being able to plan my time or know what's going on. Um, taking the kids out of whatever they had been doing and having them sit there bored in the hot weather. It was just like my conditioning was screaming at me to say, this is why I didn't want to come. Why did you make me come? Like start a fight, be self-righteous, blame somebody. Um, but I couldn't, not because I was suppressing myself, but because I actually know better than that. I actually do, by now. And so internally, my body is like, you are suppressing your disappointment to make somebody else feel better. And it was kind of like, that's not what's happening. What's happening is I have a chance to be an adult and not start a fight, um, at 45 years old. But my body was just boiling. It was just like, uh, I sort of closed my eyes. I probably looked like I was meditating peacefully, but I was boiling. Not angry, just so triggered, like triggered and God, I mean, it was just a soup of trigger. And and the wait dragged on, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And I'd recently heard a talk about another teacher saying, nothing happens to you, it happens for you. And I was trying to like, okay, this is happening for me. Just give me a relatively low stakes, relatively not so bad um, chance to kind of flex this muscle of non-reactivity, of letting the trigger boil without reacting to it. Even though it was like there was this, it's like a little fishing lure on the top of the water, and it's like, here you go, be self-righteous, start a fight, blame somebody. got to defend yourself. And the effort it took not to take that lure felt like withdrawal from an addiction. It felt like internally peeling my skin off. Um, it was so deeply unpleasant, but I did. I took that opportunity. Uh, After 35 minutes, we got called into our table. By that time, I was calm. I was cool. I was ready to genuinely enjoy brunch without having started any unnecessary drama. So, yeah, that in itself was uh, a difference from 3 years ago for sure, in so many ways. Number two, I got some pretty good validation last week, and I felt my chest kind of puff up, like, oh, look at me getting validation. And then immediately it's like, oh, like, no, you, the fact that your chest puffed up a little bit, that shows you have an ego and you're full of shit and you're an imposter and you don't deserve anything. And, normally there would be a third arrow that's like, listen to you judging yourself, you know better than, the whole thing. Um, but as it was, in a matter of a couple of days, I had recognized the pattern and let that pattern dissipate as well and not become this long-term I'm a hopeless fuck up kind of thing, but just passing non-event basically, or teaching myself, teaching event. So um yeah, it wasn't a problem. It's just a thing that happened and then passed. Number three, uh there was an Atlantic article about raising emotionally mature young men, and somebody had commented, men are the ones who do all the heavy lifting in the world. We don't need mushy sons. We need like to toughen up and get things done, that kind of thing, right? And I kind of offered a measured response based on things that I have learned, uh, you know, and he commented back, "Is that your opinion, doctor?" And I didn't take that bait. I was just like, I continued with another calm and measured response. And then he peeled off. Like he went and found somebody else to comment to that he could trigger. So I didn't get into a pointless back and forth with an internet stranger. I'll chalk that up as a win because I wasted so much of my life like that. Um, and who knows, like not holding my breath, but maybe he would actually have gotten something out of that in a week. He'll think back. Not likely, but possible. Um, and then yeah, sometimes like when I'm looking at the bathroom tiles, I'll remember when I was on shrooms and be like, oh man, I wish I was in that magical state of mind where, the patterns and the tiles are flowing and everything's just so magical and mysterious um and all that. And then but lately more and more it's like I can be equally transfixed by clouds or by ripples on water or by the cat's fur, or like today I watered the swallowtail fennel that I grow for the swallowtail butterflies. And it looks kind of like the crystalline entity on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Um, Kind of there's the branching things. And then after I sprayed it with a hose, there were just like a billion little points of light, and they were all kind of rainbow sparkles of water droplets. And I was so transfixed by this. I tried to take a video, it didn't really come out, but I was just so like, oh my God, if this is not magic, what is? Um, and it's, the things that we see every day, the reason we think they're not special is because we filed them away as, oh, I've seen all that before. I've seen that before. I know that. I know what that is. Um, but in fact, you don't really know what it is, and you haven't seen it before. You haven't seen anything before. The Every collection of sensory impressions in your entire life is unique, actually. So you think you've seen it before, but that's thinking, right? You actually haven't. So yeah, getting back to that everyday wonder. I'm not there all the time, but certainly more than 3 years ago. Number five, I have a friend who is kind of perpetually needy. Um, she's not toxic, she's not manipulative, she's not unkind. She's someone I've known for a really long time, like 20 years. Um, and I have no reason to cut her out of my life. She could be a bit draining and yeah, a bit needy, but um, she can also respect boundaries. Uh, and it's like, I don't set a strong boundary against her contacting me at all. And sometimes she'll contact me more than I want her to. And sometimes it's clear that she would sort of talk to me much more often than we talk um, if that were available. But I'm just not a like super chatty person in that way. Like some of my best friends I don't talk to for months. So it's sort of like, sorry, I don't give my time away in that way. Um, and she understands that. But sometimes she'll like need extra support in some way. And it used to just be kind of angsty when that would happen. Like, man, is this going to go on forever? Like, is she going to want more and more? Is, this? And it became a whole like contractive, like kind of miserable thing where, and maybe should I give her more time? And um, lately it's more like take all the variables, make the decision, carry it out, the end. Like there's just none of this ancillary angst around it. And that's refreshing. Number six. So I've noticed as I've sort of cared, I've sort of been monitoring myself a little bit less assiduously. And I've noticed that some of my more kind of autistic-ish traits, like bluntness or like not trying to fill something with some nicety that I'm trying to make sure I'm doing the right thing, or some social situation will come up and instead of like access the correct files of what I should do here, it's kind of like, what do I actually want to do here? And maybe at some point I'll dial that in some direction, but for now it's so freeing to just like kind of let it hang out a little bit, hopefully without too many adverse effects. We'll see. Um, Number seven. So whenever I leave the house, I have Google Maps on my phone and I have Tulsa saved in the Google Maps, so I don't need my internet to use it when I'm out of the house. But when I'm in the house, my phone connects to our Wi-Fi. So every single time I leave the house, put the maps on, um, the cell phone at some point will say, your internet went off, when I'm far enough from the house. And if I don't click OK, then my Google Map shuts down. So it's like, dude, I don't need that information. And I don't want to be on the highway and have my Google Maps missing. I don't like messing with my phone when I'm driving at high speed. So it's like, it used to just infuriate me because you can't turn that feature off. Apparently, I've tried to figure it out. If you know how to do it, let me know. But yeah, just the fact that this totally asinine thing like pisses me off every time I waste my time or puts me in danger every time I leave the house, um, was really infuriating. And nowadays it's more like, oh, that thing happened again. And I kind of use it as a remembrance of all the things that I'm grateful for. Like, oh, I have a magical map that I can put in my pocket that can take me anywhere. And okay, there's a little inconvenient thing that happens, but and this isn't like a suppressive power of positive thinking kind of thing because I hate that shit. It's really energetic, the difference between suppressive positive thinking and actual allowing of something to be exactly as it is. Yeah, it's hard to pin down what the difference is, but I can feel it for sure. Um, so yeah, number 8, somebody, some younger women are putting together a women's retreat coming up pretty soon, and one of them texted me asking if I had Facebook, and I didn't really understand why, and I didn't really know what she wanted exactly from me, so I just texted her the link to my Facebook profile, and she wrote back, "You are adorable," and I got defensive because it's like it seemed condescending, and I was like, "Did I do the wrong thing?" And she thinks I'm like a doddering old person who doesn't know how to, read social cues, or like what's going on here? Um, and then I sort of took a breath, took a beat, like, okay, she's probably not being mean. She didn't seem like that kind of person. So what could she possibly mean? So I clicked the link that I had sent her, and out came my profile, and there was a really cute picture of me and my daughter. So that's probably what she was referring to, right? Not, she wasn't insulting me. So, yeah, being able to kind of unravel but and pretty quickly. So that was nice. And finally, my sweet little daughter Isla, she's 5 years old. After a long day of pre-K, 7-hour day, it's a long day for a little kid. Um, we went to get boba tea, and I got strawberry milk tea, which is just exactly what I wanted, and I was, so happy to get it. I was thirsty. It was a hot day. I normally don't even get boba tea for myself, so and then Ollie got his usual lychee slushy, and Isla was adventurous and got a winter melon slushy, right? Um, and I let her try mine, and she's like, "This is really good." And I tried hers, and it wasn't my favorite, but whatever. Hopefully, she liked it. But I saw that she was drinking it, and she looked concerned, and she'd sort of take another sip and look even more concerned, and I was like, bless her heart, she's trying to like this thing that she doesn't really like. She's trying to kind of like psych herself up to finish this thing and or just accept that this is what she's getting that she doesn't like, and it's not really working. And I was like, "Hey, Isla, um, would you rather have your drink or my drink?" And she goes, "Your drink, your drink." So and bless her heart too for not immediately saying, "Mom, can I have your drink? I don't like mine." She didn't say that. She gamely tried to like her nasty slushy. So um so I was like, yeah, so I gave her mine, and it was like all was right with the world again for little Isla, right? And it's not like I wouldn't have done that 3 years ago, but I there would have been some resentment. There would have been some like, I got exactly what I wanted. I've had a long day too. She could have ordered anything. She chose that nasty slushy, and I have to pay for it, you know, um, in both senses, right? I have to suffer for it. Uh, this time there was none of that. It was just like, I was so gleeful, so happy to be able to watch her little face light up when she didn't have to pretend to like her nasty slushy anymore. Um, so yeah, we were just both so happy. So yeah, I mean, the more I look into all the little cracks and crevices of where I bullshit myself in the world, or where I make myself miserable for no good reason, and just kind of like lay that bare to myself and others, the more it's like, the more at home, the more relaxed I feel on this planet. And it's an incredible gift. And it can sound goofy as hell. I get that. Um, it can sound infantile. It can sound childish. But I mean, that's kind of where humanity is right now. Like, might as well admit that. Like, we are kind of children. We're a child species, newly sentient, trying to find, I mean, like, how much of even our species' existence, much less the world's existence, involves human sentience? It's a sliver. So give yourself a break. Don't be afraid to look silly. And yeah, good luck out there. It's it does get easier the more, for me anyway. Yeah, the more I can just bring it all to light.